My thing doing the thing? Check, check. My thing doing the thing? Cool. Okay, there we go. Check, check. Okay, great. Oh, what a train wreck. Let's go ahead and what a train wreck. Let's go ahead and mute. Well, hey, let's mute. Let's mute that out. Get that going there. Let's see how this sounds. Get that going there. Let's see how this sounds. Get that going there. Mic check. Mic check. Okay, should be good. Okay, cool. So now that we got our signal all cleared up, boy, hey, signal's clear, and I am in the process. Where am I at? I am doing I'm dropping a note on Twitter here that I'm live, and while I boost my signal, if you could help me boost my signal. Hit like, subscribe, check out the links to the stuff that I'm doing down below. All the work I put on DMsGuild is 100% free preview for you to take a look at. And if you decide that you like the cut of the jib, definitely would ask that you throw some money my way to help encourage me with the subscriptions for the music and all the artwork that takes a ton of time to invest in. But I really appreciate folks' interest in general. So having said that, the way this thing works is that sustained abilities can get locked or you tap. If you want to have a third level sustained ability that requires concentration to maintain, you would tap 1, 2, 3 mana. Or you could lock it so you don't have to concentrate on it anymore, but it reduces the amount of spell, quote unquote, your effective power level. Like if you were a wizard, you can cast third level spells, and you decided to say lock haste, which is a third level concentration effect. You could only cast cantrips because you've locked all your mana. So that's like a super quick skinny on how this system works, but it's super fun. So I'm going to go down to here and drop this to the back, and let's get into martial powers today. So let's see, I got martial powers here, I got that there. Okay, great. So we're looking at control tank options. I've already got 130 some odd options that are available in martial powers between sustained, which are the things that you can either maintain concentration on, or lock if you don't want to bother concentrating. We have strike effects, which are like divine strikes, or more like the strike spells that paladins can cast and then smite with, but they act like divine smite. They do X amount of damage, and they have an on-hit effect that you burn the mana for when you confirm that you have hit. I've hit, I'm going to deal damage. I'm going to tap, say, a point of mana. I'm going to burn a point of mana to do, say, a freezing strike. So instead of just doing damage, my weapon would deal cold damage. I would then also do a power die worth of damage as well, to deal additional cold damage, and the target's movement is halved until the end of its next turn. And here is the power progression. Hey, I got someone saying, hey man, how you doing? It's got a floating system here. It works like maneuver dice. And then you start off with a D8, which if you use the martial power option for monks, instead of starting off with a D4, you'd start with a D8. Then at level 10, it scales to a D10. At level 18, it scales into a D12. These are damage dice, kind of like smite dice, or inspiration dice, or superiority dice. It kind of takes all those things and just builds it into something that half-casters and martial classes can use as an alternative to the various archetypes. So you could take a blend of different powers that you can learn. You can learn at 20th level up to 16 powers, whether they're concentration effects, on strike effects, reactions, flat maneuvers that are bonus actions to perform, or exploits that modify die rolls, movement, or different actions that you take. You can create your own sort of blended character it's like, say, a fighter that has access to these things as like a martial-based mana pump alternate Eldritch Knight or Arcane Trickster. It also replaces any of those Rage Mage ideas out there, because these aren't spells, they're powers. They bypass that casting option loop. And because you can lock powers instead of concentrating on them, if your barbarian is raging, if you trigger a sustain ability, you don't concentrate on it, it immediately locks, so that if you want to sustain an ability, you're reducing the amount of powers you can actually use while raging, but you have a stable, like, you're like crafting your own rage effect. And there's, like I said, there's a truck ton of these things. Reactions sound just like they sound, like a lot of these things are just ganked directly from Battlemaster, Arcane Archer, a lot of the other fiddly classes like Psy Warrior that Wizards has attempted to put out as optional class features that you would only really want to dip into, because maybe you just want like pinning shot or something like that. You want to be able to restrain people on hit, but that's like the only reason you would take that class. That's garbage. Instead, just take it as a strike effect. Like, where is that? We got strikes, which are like a grappling strike. It's a melee weapon attack. Instead of adding added damage to your die roll, you can grapple somebody when you hit them with your weapon, and the die roll, instead of doing added damage, increases your strength check roll, so you have a higher chance of grappling them. And then you can do things like I think we have exploits in here, which is let's see, where are we looking? Moving target, counter strike, strikes, shocking strike, tripping strike. Like a tripping strike is if you hit, instead of adding damage, you add your power die to your trip opposed check. That's right. We had pop down here. There's a ton of them. I'm going to have to make it a little easier for folks to get through, just because there's so many of them. You can get lost inside of them. So I'm probably going to have to end up making tags and then including a searchable spreadsheet. I always, like in my mana options down in the link below, like I provide spell lists that have all the color options. You can just do searches through the spreadsheet if you pick up the book. But let's see. Goading is a hard taunt effect. Those are maneuvers. Let's get into paralyzing resilience stage. It's embarrassing me trying to find things like this, because it doesn't look very graceful right now, but it is just a work in progress. So let's see if I can find those things. Heart of Air, Master Burglar, Precise, Proselytizer, Ride the Wind, Saving Grace, Swift Resuscitation, Restraining Hold. There we go. As a maneuver, Restraining Hold. As a bonus action, Wild Grab. Okay, so like if you do a grappling strike, you hit somebody, you've got your attack routine, and then as a Restraining Hold, as a bonus action after you make your attacks, since you're already grappling, you can then restrain the target automatically. So you do your attacks. Once one of your attack hits, you can then use your bonus action, which is while grappling, target is restrained. So if you have 2 attacks, you can grapple 2 people. You've used 2 of your attacks. You burn 2 mana to grapple them in the process. And then as a single action, you can do a restraining hold. So both of those guys grappled are now restrained. Sorry, it took a little while for me to get there, but those are the things that exist inside of the system. So right now, the last couple episodes that we've done, we're processing all the Blood Hunter stuff into like 40 different abilities that work for mana. So are you going to go about converting each class one by one, or do you have plans for a guide system to convert all martial classes? Would other people be able to convert homebrew classes? Absolutely, of course. I mean, it's going to be on the DMsGuild, and it's going to be 100% preview. So all you got to do is take a look at the thing to see how the cut of the jib works. But spoiler alert, when I post this thing up for people just to play test in general, we already have martial character class build options. Like, for example, the Barbarian Path of Raging Fury. You get Fury points, and a Barbarian uses short rest mechanics to get 2 points at 3rd, 3 at 5th, 4 at 7th, stacking up through 10 at 19th. These are short rest regains. The way that it works is that while you're channeling, you can always use all these abilities no matter what. But while you're channeling, you're going to use your charisma. It's a little mad, which is good because these things are super powerful. But you get your fury points. You gain 3 powers right up front, regardless if they're exploits or sustained or maneuvers or strikes. You're going to be able to pick 3 specifically from any of those categories. While you are raging, if, like it says here, when you choose the path of martial fury, this is rough text. Rage gains additional benefits. Martial powers can be channeled while raging. If you channel a power that can be sustained, it automatically locks. So you can choose to tap or lock sustained powers when you're not raging as usual. But since you can't concentrate while raging, a concentration effect automatically locks. And like here's let's take a look at an example of like what some lock stuff can do right out the gate. Oops, I forgot to hit my timer. Let me go back through and get my timer going so that I stay on course with my clock. I give myself about 20 minutes to talk through the front end of this stuff and then start getting to building. But like for example, if you can relearn these things, you can relearn all of your abilities whenever you gain a level. So let's say at first level you want both Sentinel and Polearm Master. As a barbarian, you get 3 powers. You can spend 1 on Sentinel, 1 on Polearm Master, but then you can also say take Terrifying Presence, which is when you score a critical hit, the creatures within 10 feet of you are frightened until the end of your next turn. And if you lock the ability, creatures within 5 feet per your proficiency bonus. So right out the gate at 3rd level, PV bonus plus 2 times 5 equals 10 feet. So you could have Sentinel and Pam. So you've got a bonus action that you can hit people, stop their movement, and then anybody within 10 feet of you is frightened of you until the beginning of until the end of their next turn. So when it becomes their turn now, they won't be able to approach you. Anyone that can move that has been shut down by Sentinel is going to basically run away from you or hold the ground and be at disadvantage. Other things that you can do, provocative. These are just sustained stuff. But let's look at let's look at another sustained ability. Menacing Hex. Increase your weapon attack damage by your proficiency bonus, which doesn't sound so impressive. But when you lock the ability, instead, you also increase your weapon damage by 1 power die. That's supposed to be by 1 plus 1 power die. So at first level it would be a plus D8, but then that's the only thing you can do. All your mana is locked down. So like you wouldn't be able to use Sentinel, or you wouldn't be able to use Pam because you have a 1 mana limit at first level. You could do one of those 3 things. At 6th level here, you can do up to 2 mana worth of stuff. At 10th level you can do 3 mana worth of stuff. So you can do Sentinel, Pam, and Terrifying Hex, for instance, as abilities that you could then lock immediately. Like when you rage, you would then, whenever you activate these abilities, it would lock on. And then it goes up to 5. Strikes, you can stack strikes. So like if we go into the strike abilities here, let's just grab these are things I'm still processing. Let's go down to the actual list that I'm looking at here. Reactions, strikes, flaming strike. Your weapon deals fire. So if you spend 1 mana, when you hit something like a paladin would with a smite, a flaming strike, your weapon will deal fire damage, and you'll do an additional D8 worth of damage on top of that. But if you're, say, 10th level, you have 3 dice, you can then spend 3 dice and do 3d10 worth of damage when you hit, just like smite. It increases in size instead of, as well as number of dice. So it's a stacking effect. It's pretty intuitive once you throw it all together. Like I've got the this is what I have. If you check out my doobly-doo down below, there's a free link to the elemental key book that I put out that uses both color mana and elemental magic for you to have, like, instead of key, you're spinning like red key or fire key to do different abilities. But it works the same way in that at 2nd level, like with monks, it's like they're half casters. So 2nd level, 5th level, 9th level, 13th level, 17th level, just like rangers and paladins. That's how I built the 4 elemental monk. But the martial powers has just a universal system that clicks in at 2nd or 3rd if you're using an archetype to access powers. So you got 2, 6, 10, 14, 18. And those are odd, those are like off levels. Like the fighter gets feats on those levels. But for the most part, other classes just get class abilities. Like the monk gets stuff, like the ranger gets uncanny dodge, like I think like at 6. So they're nice off levels that are good places to dump power scales into. But again, you're limited on how much mana you can dump into any attack based on the level that you're at. And once you lock, like if I were to lock this, then and I'm only level 2, I can't do anything else with my mana because I've locked it. I gain the advantage of I can sustain that ability all through a long rest if I want to. Or I can just sustain it, leaving myself open at risk of losing concentration like you with a normal spell. Like if you cast haste on yourself as an Eldritch Knight, you can still throw a fireball, but if you were to lock haste, you can't throw a fireball because you ran out of mana. All your mana is barred. You're locking these channels. That's the concept. You can see more about that kind of idea in the Elemental book that's linked down below. It's all free to view. But that's the gist of it. That's how this stuff works. So I'm gonna drink some more coffee. God knows I don't need it. Because today we're talking about control. So let's get back down into. There's about all these things that I already have built here so far, and I've been working on this for off and on for a year. So it's still a work in progress because I work on 4 or 5 books at a time, and depending on where it's at in its production, depends on how close that project is done. I've got 2 books that are about to roll off development into editing, in which case I'm going to be doing a lot of artwork on stream to be able to do the layouts for the books and then filling in all the gaps with artwork. But once those go into art production, my development time will be going more into this book than anything else. So you'll be seeing me streaming this more often alongside, fighting art. But, so let's see. We're looking at stuff to process. Here's all the Blood Hunter stuff that I did in the past 3 streams. And then from these things and the other 120 abilities I have up above, for this episode, I've plucked out all the control and tanking powers. So we already have exploits with modified die rolls, and there's not a lot of exploit stuff that goes into control. But we also have maneuvers, which are things that you can do as a bonus action. There's reactions, which are self-explanatory. There's strikes, which we explained are like paladin abilities. And then there's sustained, which I've also walked through. These are all the things that you could call like control or tanking. Like Curse of Binding, which we fetched out of the Blood Hunter. As a bonus action, you attempt to bind a large or smaller target you can see within 30 feet of you, which must make a strength saving throw. On a failure, the target's speed is reduced to 0, and it can't use reactions. I'm just plucking that straight from the Blood Hunter, but now instead of cutting yourself, which is weird, you can just blow a point of mana and save at the end of each of its rounds to end the effect. You're not concentrating on these effects to maintain it. It's strictly I do it and you're screwed until you can get yourself out of it. So like resistance saving throws come into effect like this, and then the book down below will have discussions about like how to add in abilities to creatures so that they have the ability to give themselves boosts to get out of stuff if the DM wants to offer that option. But it's basically like you're stunned until you can make a saving throw. Just like Hold Person, you're paralyzed until you can make your saving throw. But wizards and full casters, they have to maintain concentration to do that. But powers scale differently. So once you trigger these things, it's on themselves to get out of it. Let's catch up on what notes are being said here. The amount of math, thank you. Yeah, exactly. I actually have a Swiftblade built. Do I have it listed in here? I don't think I do. But yeah, I'm a huge MTG fan. And the reason I came up with this stuff in the first place was for doing things like Swiftblade. Swiftblade is, it's an auto haste sort of class. So that's really funny. That would be like the one example you'd pick up on. It's like, yeah, we got lifelink in here too, which gives you bonus temporary hit points whenever you hit things. Like lifelink isn't regaining hit points; it's stacking temporary hit points. Like if I rolled 3d10, I could potentially get 30 temporary hit points, but until I can roll, if I lose 1 hit point and I'm down to 29 hit points, that life gain won't do anything for me until I roll 3 10s to get 30 hit points again, because temporary hit points overlap or they overcome instead of accumulate. So temporary hit points is a great way to have like a vampiric weapon effect, so that you're not bag of ratting stuff. Like if you roll a 6 on your d6, you're not getting any additional temporary hit points about it until you lose hit points and then roll again that's better than how many you already have. That's a really good way of being able to defeat that, the bag of rat theory, which is if you can kill something, and if you can kill a rat, which is a non-threat, and you continue getting value out of that effect for doing that nothing task, it's a broken mechanic. But temporary hit points really walk past all that. So, but yeah, Swiftblades, love Swiftblades. You will absolutely see Swiftblade built into this. Huge MTG fan. You can check out the doobly-doo down below that I do a lot of stuff with Boros. But, okay, great. So we're talking tanks, maneuvers. These are these are bonus action abilities let's see, Flicker is another MTG idea, which is as a bonus action. That should be as a bonus action. These are all bonus action things. As a bonus action, you or an ally within 30 feet or an enemy that makes a charisma saving throw is banished until the beginning of your next turn. There's a lot of circumstances where your friend is in big trouble. He's like frontlining when he shouldn't be frontlining. It's easy just to flicker him, and he chooses to disappear. He is banished for the round until it's your turn again. He'll miss his turn, but he's also not going to be the target of stuff. Like I should probably actually make Flicker a reaction. That would be super cool. Having it as an optional reaction to an enemy being targeted by an attack, you could choose to banish them for the round. So, like if someone's gonna get hit by like a dragon's breath that'll absolutely obliterate them, you could flicker them so they just disappear and they no longer count for this round. And then when it's your turn, they come back into effect and they can continue. That is one of the work in progresses. The pain of balancing features everywhere. Yeah, if you're playing with temporary hit points, you can negate a lot of those problems because they can't accumulate on you. Healing is... People don't really think... A lot of people don't think about the differences between healing and temporary hit points, but they're super significant. Let's look at some, like Wave of Terror is like an 18th level ability. As a bonus action, each creature of your choice within 30 feet of you makes a wisdom saving throw. If successful, they're frightened until they save at the end of each of their turns. But if they fail, they're stunned instead of frightened until they can save at the end of each of their turn. So that's pretty strong stuff, but it's 18th level. You can break things pretty easy at that tier. Reaction stuff, riposte, for example, when an enemy within range misses an attack, a melee attack versus you, you can attack with a weapon, and then damage is plus PD. So if you attack with a weapon, if you hit, you'll gain a power die worth of damage to it. But the thing is that could then trigger a strike. So you could then use riposte. So if someone makes an attack, what was riposte? Riposte when an enemy within range misses a melee attack against you. So you bait yourself as the target. He makes an attack. He misses. You then spend a reaction point to gain riposte, which then allows you to make an attack and add a power die of damage to the attack. On top of that, if you do hit, you can then use a strike. And you could then say do a tripping strike. So that guy tries to hit you, and in return you burn 2 mana, and you end up tripping him. So he ends up getting knocked down. There you go. And then you're advantaged to hit him when it's your turn to keep attacking him. So you can do combos like that. It's built to chain off of each other, but it's expensive. Like we were looking at, let's go back to the Barbarian because we were talking about Barbarian. Like a Barbarian could have riposte and could have tripping strike. He could have both of those at first level. And you could use both of those in a round because a reaction is separate from a strike. You can trigger a reaction up to 1 mana at third level, and then the reaction that gets triggered off of that, you can spend 1 mana to use a strike if you're successful in hitting. These mechanics are all separate from each other. So you could use an exploit on top of a reaction, and then when you have your strike, you could also use an exploit with your strike. So you could potentially spend 4 mana in 1 attack at first level. And you already be out because you only have 2. So you can burn through this stuff super fast. But some of the classes have the ability to gain back mana. Some classes, like the Paladin and the Ranger, just have a lot of mana available to them right out the gate that they can take advantage of these things. But others, you have to gain levels so you can pace the stuff that you're doing or take a short rest to get stuff back. But going back to the Barbarian, we're almost done with walkthroughs, and then we'll start actually getting into class design. But you got the Furious Power. You can lock stuff at 14th level power. There we go. So we have the Fury, martial powers. While you're channeling, you can lock a sustained ability automatically. And then at 14th level, when you decide to rage as a bonus action, you can automatically channel a sustained power on top of it. So at 14th level, you can channel up to 4 mana. You could, or Fury in the case of Barbarian. So at 14th level, when you spend a bonus action to rage, you could also burn 4 mana to automatically lock a fourth level power, sustained power. Third level, Furious Power. You can add your rage bonus to the DC of any power that requires a saving throw. That's not too unusual for like Rage Mage type stuff. I was a huge Rage Mage fan in 3rd edition. Those things were indomitable, man. Let's check up on where we're at. Love maneuvering combo mechanics like that. Oh, hell yeah, man. The idea of power martialists can use one of the things I'd love for the older editions. Yeah, I was a really, really big Book of Nine Swords fan, which is Book of Nine Swords and Magic of Incarnum. And the Adventurer's Handbook introducing skill tricks were probably the 3 largest inspirations I had to building this compilation. And then, of course, since I'm the guy that does color mana mechanics, obviously I had to convert it all into mana, so that you could either use just generic spell points, or if you want to build your Boros, you can assign like exploits and strikes to red, and then you can assign the other 3 to white. So like when you're doing a strike effect, burning red mana, you can automatically do fire damage or lightning damage or force damage with your attacks without having to pick a specific ability that says you can do that. Because you're burning red mana, you automatically can do red damage types. Or if you instead decided to assign strikes to white mana, you could do things like cold damage or radiant damage or force damage automatically without having to take an ability. It's just, I'm going to do hex damage, and I'm going to burn white Dama while I do it. So while I'm doing a hexing strike, I'm going to do radiant damage on top of whatever the hex effect is. Blah, blah, blah. Primal Consumption, 6th level. Just continuing with our Barbarian here, just going through like some of the class features that we got going for these things. At 6th level, as a bonus action, you can sacrifice a resting hit die to regain 1 Fury up to your max Fury limit. So at 6th level, you would have you'd have 2, then 3. So you'd have 3 mana at 5th level at any given time. But then you can burn down, you'd have 6 dice. So you could potentially burn all of your resting hit dice to gain. When you burn all your 3, you can get 3 back, so you can keep doing stuff. And of course, you don't get resting hit dice back until you take a long rest. So, but the Barbarian gets his 3 at 5th level. The Barbarian would get 3 mana back at 3rd level. So you could burn through your 3, burn 3 resting hit dice to get another 3 mana back, cook through 3. If you really wanted to burn through another 3 again, your DM, God willing, is going to give you a short rest at this point. But if he doesn't, you could again burn your 3 hit dice to have a total of 9 mana before you take your first short rest. And then when the short rest does click in, now you're at 12 mana for the day. And then if you take your long rest, you'll get, at 6th level, you get 3 resting hit dice back, so you can just loop that process. So you're always getting a little extra mana coming back to you. So if you're using your mana wisely at low levels, it's no worse than what the Battle Master has. The Battle Master starts off with 4 dice. This gives you like 2, plus the option of being able to buy into more by expending your resources. But sorry, I'm really blind, so I have to like lean into my screen to read stuff. But that's the 6th level. You can burn Fury, and let's see. And furthermore, when you make a death save, you can burn 1 point of Fury or sacrifice a resting hit die to automatically succeed the death save. And you can choose to use this feature after knowing if you succeeded the result or not. So Primal Consumption, pretty cool. Let's check in on stuff. Thank you. It's building systems is what I like to do. I like to build larger systems that you can then fold other classes into. But this one is no full casters. They already have all the toys in the game. This is for half casters and for martial classes only, so that they can be on par with full casters. I've been designing. Oh, okay. See, let's see. What do you got saying here? This feels like such an elegant system. On the 3 martial classes I've been designing, I've been struggling to find good systems for them. 2 of them are just like third casters. So I'm loving what you got. Hey, that's great. And when the thing's out, you'll be able to read the entire thing at no cost. I'd love for you to buy it. I love the support. It helps, make up all the time and the expenses for running stuff. But I really just want to make sure that folks can just see the stuff. That's what's most important, that you can actually just consume the content and really kind of change how you're approaching the game. And anyone can build a Boros Swiftblade. If I provide you the tools for it, you can just take it and run with it. Brutal Fury, 10th level when you score a critical hit, because at 9th level you get the added hit dice, 3, 12, and 16. Oops. All right, so I'm just going to wrap up the Barbarian, and then we're going to get into actual design mechanics. So Brutal Fury, 10th level, you're getting your extra critical die at 9, a second critical die at 12, a third critical die at 16. So at 10th level, when you score a critical hit, you can choose to forego the additional damage die and instead gain a point of temporary fury that you can burn immediately to channel a strike power. So instead of critting, you're adding a martial power, which uses... which at 10th level uses a D10 anyway. So it's as good as a brutal critical extra die roll, but you're getting whatever added kicker effect that you would get. And at 10th level, since you can do up to 3 mana, you could then spend 2 of your own pool of fury to make that a 3rd level strike. And since it's a critical, you're going to be doubling damage already anyway. So most people are like, why the hell would I take Barbarian past level 6? It's like, well, hopefully this is a compelling reason why you would want to do that. At 13th, it goes up to 2 dice. You can drop 1 or 2 of them to gain more martial die, gain more fury to spend on strikes. 17th, you can spend all 3 dice to automatically get 3 power. But then there's nothing in the game here that multiplies your crit effect. Like none of the powers that you can get allow you to increase your crit range. So I'm specifically limiting the constraints on what things can do. The fighter has like the champion gets a higher crit range as they go, but that's a fighter. That's they can do that stuff. So they have their own perks. But we're just looking at the barbarian today. We'll look at the fighter next time. And then finally at 14th level, on top of being able to automatically trigger and lock a sustained ability when you rage. With the channeling rage feature. Also at 14th level, you get destructive power, which is when you dismiss a locked power, dropping the sustained, burning the mana. While you're raging, you can deal force damage equal to power dice for the number of fury burns. So at 14th level, you're getting a D10 power die. So if you were sustaining a 3rd level sustained power that's locked, when you dismiss that effect, drop the effect, it will deal 3d10 force damage to all creatures within 10 feet of you. Of course, they can make a dex save for half at DC 8. You get your rage bonus on top of it because you're raging. And then, of course, the amount of fury burn. In this example, it's 3. So it'd be like 14th is plus 4, plus 7, that's 15, plus your channeling stat. So even if you just have a charisma of 10, you'd automatically be doing a DC 15 for half damage. So that's kind of how that stuff clips together. So let's go ahead and play with actual abilities. It's gonna be a while. I appreciate the support, man. Pick it up when it comes on. It sounds like it's gonna be great. Hopefully it is. So it's off to a promising start. I haven't even started talking about artificer infusions yet, which is completely revolutionary for this, using infusions to create auras that you can empower yourself with, and then select a number of powers just to create an aura around yourself instead of magic items. So instead of gear, you're just like the aura enchantment spells from MTG. You're dumping mana as an artificer into yourself to create this aura around you that allows you to sustain powers as well. Ton of cool stuff. Very Incarnum flavored, if you're familiar with 30 Incarnum already. But I think I've rambled and preambled enough. Let's get into what we've got. I don't think I have a lot of structure here. I know I've got a lot of, where am I at? Scroll back up in here into the different tank abilities that already exist. These are all the abilities that I've already plucked from the existing list that kind of fall into the control or enable control. But then I also have a bunch of stuff down here that I am interested in looking at in general, and there may end up being some duplicates here, but we're just going to pick at things to see what might be interesting. So go fish. Search the Simic hybrid racial features for sustained reaction maneuver benefits. Okay, so the directions here were to go into the hybrid, the Simic hybrid. So let's just go to D&D Beyond, and then go back up to the top of the page, and let's go with Simic hybrid races. This is kind of how this is making sausage. We go find mechanics that exist. We take a look at what they have to offer. We translate them into mana abilities, and then we let our brain kind of spool on to, well, what are some other things that we can build out of that as a result of it? So let's see. Manta Glide. You have ray-like fins that you can use as wings to slow your fall or allow you to glide. When you fall, and aren't incapacitated, you can subtract up to 100 feet from the fall when calculating falling damage, and you can move up to 2 feet horizontally for every 1 foot you descend. So, mana glide. I mean, we can just directly fetch that. I'm going to open up a document here. The first thing we do is we translate, and then we permutate. So, mana glide. This could be a sustain 1, which is you have really like fins that you can use right out of the box like that. But then we also have reaction. Reaction 1 equals gain feather fall. There's probably going to be things that already exist in the system that this will be redundant with, but for the sake of the stream, we just throw out ideas, and then we go back through and we get rid of things that are redundant and see if what we've created new is a more balanced or more fun option than what we had previously. So we're always looking at things from different perspectives to see which one's the best. That way we can trim through these things, and then I will parse them out to my team to play with during my D&D game each week. So let's see, feather fall, gain feather fall as per spell. In addition, you can move 2 feet horizontal for every 1 foot you descend. See, that'd be cool if they just had that built into the feather fall spell, but they don't. That's cool. Let's see, what else we got? Nimble climber. You have the climbing speed equals to your walking speed. Nimble climber. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. I think I already have Cliff Runner, which was inspired by the core. But again, we're just extrapolating ideas here, so we're just going to extrapolate without judgment. Nimble climber, which is sustain 1. Amun Ra. Don't mind the spelling errors. What else you got for us? Underwater adaptation. You can breathe air underwater and have a swimming speed. This is how it starts. Beep, beep, beep. What else you got? Sweet. Oh, that's very wordy. Grab my appendages. You sprout. Two appendages alongside your arms. As an action, you can use one of them to try to grapple a creature. No. As an action, if you want them to grapple a creature, each one is also a natural weapon. Let's see. As an action, sustain one. You sprout two appendages alongside your arms. Let's see. You can make an additional attack as a bonus action with one of them as a natural weapon, dealing one power die damage. In addition, they can grapple creatures up to one size larger than you. Does one power, dealing one power die, bludgeoning, slashing, piercing, or slashing, you choose. In addition, they can grapple creatures up to one size larger than you. Alternatively, these appendages can be used in combination with another attack to gain advantage when making a strength or dexterity check to grapple or escape a grapple. Lastly, you can grapple up to 4 targets while sustaining this power. So we go to, in addition, this is still rough text. So then we have the lock effect. So when you lock, it gains a special ability that it doesn't have when it's sustained. As a motivator for you, why would I want to lock this? Well, A, not having to concentrate on is great, but you're cutting off your mana supply when you lock something. So we have a kicker effect that you gain when you lock the ability to incentivize you to lock this as opposed to something else, or as opposed to leaving it open. And in this instance, it'll be the lock effect will be unlock. These appendages can be used in combination with other attacks to gain advantage. Unlock. Instead, unlock these appendages. Gain advantage when making a strength or dexterity check to grapple or escape a grapple. So when you lock, these appendages become super good at grappling. And then again, once you lock this, once you get to level 6, you could then use it with the other grappling effects, like the grappling strike. You could use these limbs as piercing attacks, and then combine it with grappling, with a grappling strike, which you could then use with a bonus action to then combine into a. The word I'm looking for is the grappling strike, so that you could the restraining grapple. You could then upgrade from grapple into being restrained, so you could potentially restrain 4 people at the same time with your extra limbs, which is what a great brawler. How fun is that? So this has already been. Even if these other things have kind of been redundant a little bit, this is already is worth gold. So I'm absolutely going to include this. That's super freaking fun. But then once this book actually comes out, I could then do a deep dive and I could do a 4-page document for martial simic, like or like simic hybrid martial powers, and like just do a list of 20 different things that a simic hybrid specifically could do if they have access to mana. Ideas, things I can do to make the book worth more than what it is by itself. Carapace. I already have an armor class gaining thing. I'm just going to flat out skip that. Acid Spit. This would be a maneuver. So let's go with Ick. Let's go here. And then all cut blomp here. So we'll go with, this will be maneuver 1 because it's going to be an ability. Acid Spit. Let's see. So as an additional, you can make an additional. Okay, as a bonus action. Don't think I like that. I am okay with that, but when it's unlocked, these appendages gain advantage when making a strength or dexterity check on grapple or escape. You can make claw and tentacles. These can be used to make attacks as part of the attack action, or instead you can, that's better. That way you can opt in to use them instead of your normal attacks, or you could use them on top of it as a bonus action. That then makes the lock effect work. So if you're using the appendages primarily as when you're a fighter at 16th level, you could do like sword, appendage. And then all those could be grappling strikes. And then as your bonus action, if you hit with all 4 of those strikes, you could then restrain all 4 targets because you've grappled all 4 of them. Oh, that's just fun. Just fun. So let's take a look here. Acid Spit. As a bonus action, screw you. As a bonus action, you can spray acid from glands in your mouth, targeting one creature or object you can see within 30 feet of you. The target takes 1 PD per mana. Maneuver. Let's go with, let's make this one sustained as well. Sustained 1. So this qualifier down here is it only costs 1 to activate it, but you can choose to sustain up to 5 mana. And if you did choose to sustain 5 mana, then you'd be doing 5d. Well, at 18th level, it'd be 5d12 damage as a bonus attack. But this again, you're sustaining 5 mana, so it's going to require concentration. But it is an on lock effect. Equals object you can see within 30 feet of you. Unlock equals instead of targeting one creature or object, the acid is a spray targeting in a 5-foot cone per mana cone. So if you were to lock 5, you'd be doing 5d12 acid damage to everything within a 25-foot cone. That's worth 5 mana. Updates out of nowhere. Thought, but have you had any ideas for like telekinetic martial powers, like making ranged melee versus telekinesis, or even portals? Something that just came to me. That's a smart idea, man. Not sure how they'd fit into control powers, but I thought I'd throw the thought out there while it was here. Yeah, I'm great. I'm great with that. Let's take a hot second here. Well, conveniently, we just reached the end of the Simic hybrid. So let's go ahead and hop back up. Let's go into Simic hybrid options. So let's go with telekinetic. control? The answer is largely no. Let's see. I think some of these things can be flavored that way, but I haven't really gotten into any hard like telekinesis effects directly. But I am open to exploring that. So let's see. Let's start with maneuvers. Maneuvers, because these are things that take bonus actions. So let's start in that space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. I know there is psychic push. One. Let's see. Target within 30 feet. Uh-oh. You got 20 minutes left on the clock. So let's see where we get. Hold on real quick. Just checking my stuff. Looking good in the hood. All right. Keeping at it. Got 20 minutes to play with some TK ideas. Great suggestion, man. Oh, wall effects. Okay, sure. Let's look at, let's think about walls. Let's see. Create a telekinetic barrier that provides full cover against targets on the other side. This isn't the language I would end up using, but it is the gist of it. So we create a telekinetic barrier that provides full cover against. That would basically be like a wall of force effect. Wall of force. Let's double check real quick. Let's go with 5e wall of force. That's a great idea, man. So wall of force is a 5th level spell, 120-foot range. Okay, let's short that a bit. Let's go with create a telekinetic barrier within 30 feet that provides full cover. Within 30 feet. Let's see. Create a telekinetic barrier within 30 feet that is 10 feet per mana. Let's see. So the complication that I've had with things like this is generally the only sustained effects I've been producing are things that affect yourself. And a wall is an externality that isn't something that's inside of myself. So it could be a sustained ability, but it's not directly affecting myself. It's affecting the environment around me. And if I'm affecting the environment around me, that would generally be a maneuver, but maneuvers are bonus actions that don't sustain. I'm providing a lot of personal constraints that separate these things from just being spells. They're either affecting specific targets or they're affecting me. If they affect me, they could be maneuvers or reactions or exploits or sustained abilities. If they're affecting my target, they could be maneuvers, reactions, strikes, exploits, but generally not sustained. Sustained would have things like acid spit. That's something I can do to somebody, but that's an instant effect. That doesn't have a sustained effect. But if there is a sustained effect, it's self-regulated by the creatures affected by it. So like if I were to create a TK effect, a wall would have to be something like that they could overcome if they make a saving throw, but if they continue to, like it exists in their mind until they defeat it, at which point it disappears and is no longer in the game anymore. But if they just forever failed their saving throw, it would not change. And something like TK, a wall effect, that is, I'm trying to see how would that not grind against these constraints to stay within the spirit. it's creating these artificial restraints on yourself that said, like, I don't want to violate these parameters. That's where a lot of the design, like the design complications come from, where you're building something unique and different is by allowing yourself to exist inside of that space. Building into a telekinetic box. Yes, that's very similar to like a paralysis effect. Like if you were using blue or white mana to do like the paralysis ability, that would be very similar to what you are proposing. Here, let's look at that real quick just to get an idea of what it is that we're talking about here. Reactions, restricting hold. As a bonus action while grappling... Oh, no, that's restricting hold. This would be... That is a maneuver. Where is it? There is... I think we have space for that. Hold on. I think we have a paralyzing strike. Paralyzing strike. So, 4th level ability. A 4th level power. So, it clicks in at level 14. It does 10 damage. And the target makes a wisdom saving throw or is paralyzed until they can save at the end of the turn. At the end of their turn. So at the end of each of their turns, they can make a saving throw to get out of it. So it sounds like we got space for this. Great idea. Let's see. Telekinetic barrier. Let's do it. Let's do it like... let's do it like this. It is a maneuver 1 telekinetic barrier. I like that idea. This feels very, very Will and Way from 2nd edition, the old Athos Psionic Handbook. They had a telekinetic box sort of effect. For each mana, target 1 creature within 30 feet. Target must cost save, or it's restrained, so it should probably be wisdom. Must whiz save or be trapped in a telekinetic kinetic bubble until they succeed save at end of each turn. How's that feel? And those be little resilient spheres. So until they can, so for every mana you spend within 30 feet, you can target 1 target, and that target is trapped within a resilient sphere until they can succeed a wisdom saving throw to pop the bubble. I think that's the flavor that you were talking about, and it's valid as a maneuver, and it's self-regulated, and you can walk away from it. That's freaking cool, man. Let's go with that inspires me to go with reaction 2, telekinetic repulsion. When creature succeeds at a melee attack against you, let's see. When creature succeeds at a melee attack against you, make a cost save or attack fails and is pushed away 10 feet per mana. So it starts off as reaction 2, but if you spin up to 5, you can push them up to 50 feet, and it nullifies the attack if they fail a saving throw. That's a space to start in anyway. I don't know if that's its final iteration, but that's what just came off my mind as a result of seeing the telekinetic barrier. Let's see. Reaction 1, telekinetic How about psionic windfall? Target with an as a reaction to let's go with Sonic Windfall. We'll keep that. It's a silly name, but we'll keep it. As a reaction to a creature falling within 30 feet of you, you can halt their fall and that's interesting. As a reaction to a creature falling within 30 feet of you, as a reaction to one creature per mana falling within 30 feet of you, you can halt their fall and my brain is arguing because here's an instant where I would want to contradict myself, whereas you would catch them and you can keep them caught for as long as you maintain concentration. It wouldn't be able to be locked, which is contrary, but it's not technically a sustained power. As a reaction, okay. Falling within 30 feet of you, you can halt their fall, and they remain suspended until they succeed a wisdom saving throw, then feather fall. Allies can choose to fail. Allies can auto succeed if you wish. Yeah, I think I'm pretty good with that. That's crappy wording, but that's like the gist of it. Let's go with just a maneuver 2. Target creature within 30 feet is levitated off the ground, unable to move until succeed with save to drop. Ooh, neat! Target creature within 30 feet is levitated off the ground up to 10 feet. 10 feet per proc bonus. Unable to move until succeed. Whiz to drop. Oh, wait. Is levitated off the ground. Is levitated off the ground. And rise 10 feet per round to 10 times proc bonus. That's really clumsily, but the intent is that if you hit them with a TK effect, they get lifted off the ground. If they fail their saving throw, they rise 10 feet, and they rise another 10 feet each round up to your proficiency bonus. So at first level, you could raise them a total of 20 feet. At 17th level, you could raise them a total of 60 feet. But every 10 feet is a round. They have a chance to make a saving throw to release themselves from the effect and then fall. That's freaking fun. Maneuver to be a total of 30 feet. So it'd be 1, 2, 3 rounds that you could have them affected by this. So at first round would be 10 feet, second round would be 20 feet, third round would be 30 feet, and that's as far as you can go as a second level of maneuver. But it can go up to 60 feet after 6 rounds as a fifth level maneuver, and then they take d6 damage of falling damage when they free themselves. The faster they can free themselves, the less damage that they're going to take, but they're still going to get knocked prone when they do it, unless they have some sort of spring up effect. Fantastic! I'm glad I'm hitting the flavor, man. This is a fun inspiration. I'm really glad that you put this on my plate. Thank you. Let's see. How about what's some other fun stuff we can come up with? I still got about 5-6 minutes, so I'm almost out of time for the day. But we'll come back and do some more of this stuff. Let's see. Reactions, maneuvers, sustain as self. So that we already got fly effects and things like that. That makes sense. TK. What's some other fun stuff that we can do with TK? Sonic Windfall, and catch them, telekinetic repulsion as a reaction. We already have a push effect that's a strike, which could just be flavored as TK, especially if you're using white or blue mana, or you know air or air elemental as your key focus. But maneuvers, reactions. I'm liking that we're fleshing out more reactions on this. Not gonna lie, and I'm liking that we have reactions. And I'm liking that they're more than one level. What else could we come up with here? Let's go with maneuver 3, shockwave. All creatures within 30 feet are pushed away from you 10 feet per mana. Push away from you 10 feet. I don't want to do it per mana because 30 feet plus all creatures within 30 feet of you, that's big. That's a little strong. All creatures within 30 feet of you are pushed away. Let's see. In 30 feet, take 3d10 force damage, and if fail, and are pushed away from you 20 feet, save equals half damage and 10 feet push instead. That feels 3d10 versus 8d6. So if a fireball is doing 8d6 damage, it's going to do up to 48 damage versus this at 2-6 at 10th level is going to do only do 3d10 damage. It's significantly less, but it also has the push effect. Let's go with maneuver 2. That feels better. It's less damage, but it feels better. That feels really good. I like that one. That's cool. Let's see. Let's go with maneuver 1, flatten. Target creature within 30 feet takes 1d. Takes 2 power dice. Force damage. Takes 1 PD. 1 PD per mana. How are we doing on time? It's there. Stay on target. Target creature within 30 feet takes 1 PD of damage and is... and if fail strength save, prone, stays prone until succeeds save, end of turn. That feels pretty good. And it doesn't compete with the tripping strike, because the tripping strike is going to do weapon damage plus a power die damage, and it has it does the weapon damage. It has the trip, and the trip is enhanced. The saving throw is enhanced by your power die roll. This does a power die worth of damage automatically per mana, and is a strength save to fall prone. And you could then use exploits or reactions to screw with their saving throw on top of it. So there's a lot of ways you can cover yourself on that one. I'm pretty pleased with that one. One idea might be a telekinetic vortex. Together, oh nice. I'm done with that. Maneuver 2. Let's dismiss that. And I'll give myself another 7 minutes and I'm bouncing for the day. This is fun, man. Thanks. Let's go with, what do we call that? Vortex. I like the vortex idea. Then dealing, let's see. Let's just call it power vortex for lack of a better word for now. Let's see. We'll call it maneuver. Call it maneuver 1. Creatures within 30 feet take 1 PD mana damage, force damage, mana, force damage. So always got to include what kind of damage it is to make sure it stays logical. Creatures within 30 feet take 1 PD of damage, force damage, and pulled 5 feet per mana towards you. How about that? Singularity. There. Mad shoutouts to Homoteco. Singularity Vortex? Does that sound smooth? Oh no, let's call it Point of Singularity. Oh, let's do this instead. Select a location within 30 feet of you. All creatures other than you within 30 feet of the Point of Singularity take 1 PD mana force damage and pulled 5 feet towards the center. I think that's pretty cool. I am super down with that, clown. Is there anything else we can telekinetic wave. Let's make this our last bit for the day. This will be. This is fun stuff, dude. I could honestly build this into like a separate tear out book, like a separate list of abilities. I mean, you yourself, you're helping me come up with these. So if you wanted to drop these into one of your TK builds, you just word it the way that you want, like as a bonus action or whatever. And you can do this a number of times per long rest equal to your proficiency modifier or your charisma bonus or whatever. Me, like Terran and Destructiboy, Drunken Yoda, some of the other guys that are in the design space, we kind of just borrow ideas off of each other all the time. So there's no hurt, no harm. It's just be part of the mix, man. So let's see, telekinetic wave. Let's see. You create a wave of telekinetic force pushing all creatures in its wake. Where'd that flavor text come from? I don't know, man. Technically, they all have to have flavor text. I'm going to have to end up hiring a writer to make flavor text because I am horrible at flavor text. I can build systems and mechanics, but my flavor's lame. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Line effect, 10 feet wide, originates on you. Distance equals 10 feet per mana. Deals 1 PD per mana. Force damage. And all creatures must make strength save or be pushed to the end of the line and prone. Save or prone. Success equals prone. Fail equals push. Same distance as length of line. So if I'm going to do, if you're within 5 feet of me and I do a 20-foot cone, and I do a 20-foot line, and then I have another target that's in line that's 15 feet away, both the 5-foot and the 15-foot both get pushed 20 feet. That way I don't have to worry about stacking issues. Like, you can't have things stack up. The wording on that gets really weird. And if you've got 6 or 7 people that are stacked up that way, lame. But if you're doing a 40-foot wave and one guy is 30 feet away, he's going to end up being 70 feet away from you. That is some spicy business, man. I am into that. So what is that? Where are we at? Just with your single idea, we just extracted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 new powers that we can add into the 150 that we already have. So we're going to end up with 160 some odd powers in this book, no problem. So, oh man, what a monster. What a monster of a book. Holy Hannah. Yeah, and they just kind of lead into each other. Like, once you have one idea, you get another, then you get another, then you get another, and you can just play with the different abilities. I like the scaling effect, so you can dump as much or as little mana into each of these as you want. Telekinetic Wave as a 1 mana spend is no more powerful than Thunder Wave is. But if you dump 5 mana into it, it's a monster. So this stuff is cool as hell, man. Oh, Tekla, thanks for hanging out, dude. This is great. I gotta go. This has been my lunch, so I gotta go pay my pound of flesh to the man and get back at work. But I do this for now until my other books are past development production. I do this once a week on Mondays. This will eventually evolve into 2 times per week, and then and it'll probably stay 2 times per week until it's off the plate. But at some point, I'm going to cut. I'll just be able to stop how many powers I have. I might, at this rate, I might just cap at 200, and then just see if I can trim down those 200 down to 150. And then once I get to the 150, then I'll be able to clean up the mechanics language on how these things operate, finalize the details on all the different classes, and then I can start assembling the book, and then hire somebody to help wordsmith the actual flavor text and mechanics from the ideas into Wizard of the Coast coding. Once I have my writer resolving that, I'll probably give him like 10% cut of the book. It'll probably be like a $15 book before it gets reduced, maybe $12 depending on how it turns out. But we'll have barbarian, fighter, monk, paladin, ranger, rogue. We'll also have artificer and then the imbuing auras to be able to use these and making magic items out of powers that are known, so you can equip your team with power armor or power weapons. We'll also have notation on warlocks using these things as invocations, so that you can build, if you take Pact of the Blade, you can build out strikes and stuff like that. So there'll be 7 classes that will be able to implement the power features. And then we'll have the rules on magic weapon, or like magic items, power items in general, power gear, I think is what I'm going to call it. And then we have the magic paradigms, which is just generic mana, which is what this would be, like spell points. And then we'll also have color mechanics for using MTG 5 color mana. And we'll also have elemental magic, which will be the 4 elements, a la monks with the 4 elements and the airbender aesthetic that people like so much. I'm also thinking about maybe like a light and shadow paradigm, but I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with that one or not. I might just go with the elements and the color. But once I have those different aspects built out, and then the DM toolkit for how does the DM use this stuff and have fun with it too, and then sample characters. That should be probably, I reckon, it'll probably fleshing out to be around 90 pages. This won't be done until 2023, but we'll be building this weekly from here forward, barring sickness and natural disaster. We'll be doing this on a weekly basis until it's done. I think next week what we're going to do is we'll put a pause on creating new powers, and instead we'll walk through the different archetypes that we've built for the barbarian, the fighter, the rogue, the monk, and see if that all still jives. Talk about the differences between paladin and smite and utilizing this. Talking about ranger, artificer, warlock. That should flesh out an hour pretty easily. And then from there, we can probably start trimming stuff down. So, okay, enough rambling for now. If you like how this stuff is coming along, like, subscribe, check down links below, grab me on Twitter so you always know when I'm going live on Signal, as well as check out all the other books I've created. They're all opt-in, opt-out variant rules that are 100% preview for you to take a look at if you like them or not. Add them to your game. Bring Magic the Gathering alive at your table if you're into that stuff. Embrace elemental magic in your game as well. We're expanding those ideas, and I'll be back on later this week. So thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you then. Thanks so much. Outro.